My name is Adam Carr, and I had the honor of writing this book, 𝘠𝘰𝘶, with 5 wonderful third grade classrooms around the city of Milwaukee. We packed a whole lot of Milwaukee in here, and in this video, I'm going to share one of the informational sections with you, which explores the idea of repurposing.
So what is repurposing? Repurposing happens when something is given new life by finding a different use for it. This can happen in small ways, like in a garden, or even in your kitchen. Or in big ways, like with a building, land, or even neighborhoods. Milwaukeeans are resourceful and always have been. What we lack in wealth, we make up for in imagination and creativity. Repurposing is a way of solving problems with what you have. There are many remarkable examples around our city, and 2 of Milwaukee's most astounding landmarks, one old and one new, are amazing examples of repurposing.
In the late 1800s, Milwaukee's growing Polish community wanted to build a big old Catholic church called a basilica, and they wanted it to be impressive. So they pooled all their money together and found they didn't have enough to build something magnificent. They were hardworking immigrants, but they definitely were not rich. So they had to get creative. What do you do if you want impressive, fancy clothes, but you don't have enough money for something new? You go to the thrift store and you get something used.
So instead of buying expensive new construction materials, they found a post office in Chicago slated to be torn down and bought it for $20,000. Brick by brick by brick, they took apart the post office, put every piece in a rail car, 500 in all, and brought it all up to Milwaukee. Then they put it in a pile and put the pieces back together as a big, beautiful basilica, kind of like Legos. And their repurposing didn't stop there. After they finished building, they needed to decorate the inside. Rather than buy expensive gold and marble, they just painted less expensive materials to look like gold and marble. Most people who enter never know the difference.
For over 100 years, the Basilica of St. Josephat has been one of Milwaukee's most beautiful buildings, a symbol of faith and hope. And during the pandemic, just across the street, the muralist Mauricio Ramirez painted a new symbol of faith and hope, honoring frontline workers and medical professionals. Between the Mitchell Park domes to the east and Miller Park to the west, this beautiful park is probably my very favorite place in the city. It's called Three Bridges Park, and it's a 24-acre green space filled with scenic trails, native plants, all kinds of beauty, but it hasn't always been that way. For thousands of years, the land of the Menominee Valley was a wild rice marsh, which brought indigenous people here. Then it became a busy rail yard during Milwaukee's industrial heyday, before lying empty as businesses began leaving the Menominee Valley. By the 90s, this space was a dirty, rusted wreck.
So about 20 years ago, a group of residents and community leaders started collaborating to turn an old rail yard into a park.
A big chunk of the highway, called the Market Interchange, was being rebuilt at the time. So rather than take all the concrete and steel to the landfill, they dumped it in big piles. Then they covered the piles in dirt to make hills, which reference Wisconsin's geology. Then they planted native plants in the park and made trails for people to use. When the park opened in 2013, it connected nearby residents to nature in their community for the first time in over 100 years. The park offers access to the Menominee River for fishing and canoeing, a community garden, part of the Hank Aaron State Trail, and some breathtaking views of the city. There's also a branch of the Urban Ecology Center, which introduces students and families to nature and science in Three Bridges Park.
Especially now, this is a great place for a walk with family or friends while keeping social distance. And while it's a great example of repurposing, there are many more throughout our city.
For example, the Sherman Phoenix, an incredible hub of Black-owned business, the Milwaukee Public Library branch on Mitchell Street, all of the amazing urban gardens across the city, and many, many, many more. To finish, I have 2 challenges for you. Challenge number 1, find 2 examples of repurposing, one big and one little, in your world. Once you start looking for it, you can find repurposing everywhere. Challenge number 2, if you see vacant land or an empty building in your neighborhood, use your imagination to imagine what it could be next and how you might repurpose it to solve a problem.